guest. Here we go. Welcome to the Values-Based Mindset Experience, where if I do this well, you get to hear a lot from the guests, which will be interesting, versus if I do it badly and talk about the values-based mindset system, because nobody cares. So what people care about are stories from professionals that are living a life of their own design. And today's guest, I got to slow down. I'm really excited. I've gotten to know this guy, Andy Panko, from interacting on LinkedIn. I love all of his stuff, but I most love the way he comments. I love the way that he is social on a social platform. Yes, he's got his own point of view, but he's not out there nuking people. And I also, having heard a little bit of his story, know that he's a values-based guy, meaning he's got thought and intention behind how he does business and why he does business. So Andy, introduce yourself to the huge audience of like 7 or 8.
Hello, 7 or 8 of you out there that love Mike Garrison and his words of wisdom. Yes, I am Andy Panko. Thank you for having me on, Mike. I'm the founder and owner of a little financial planning firm called Tenon Financial based in Metuchen, New Jersey, which I started in late 2019 after a 19-year career in corporate and institutional banking. I'll pause it there for now.
That's cool. So what does tenon mean?
It's a woodworking term. So I have always been big into woodworking.
Hold up your hands. He's got all his fingers.
Yeah, they're also there. I have a table saw called Saw Stop that if skin touches it, the blade automatically stops. It's got this break in it.
Nice.
So that's part of the reason why I have my fingers. Otherwise, yeah, one of them may be nubbed off by now. But yeah, I have always been a woodworker. And when I set out to start this company and try to come up with a name, which was frankly probably the hardest part in starting this thing, was struggling to come up with a name. And to be honest, one of the biggest limiting factors was website name availability.
Yes.
So trying to find something short and sweet that wasn't already taken was really what led me to play around with words that weren't likely used already. And I was like, let me come up with something kind of personal. So tenon just sort of made sense.
So what's tenon mean?
In a woodworking sense, it is basically you have a square peg going into a square hole. The square peg is the tenon. It's a way to join two pieces of wood together. Now, if I wanted to give you this fluffy, like deep introspective answer about why I called my firm Tenon Financial, I would say because tenon represents simplicity, yet stability and strength and blah, blah, blah. No, honestly, it was I needed to find a website that was short and sweet, website name that wasn't taken. But yes, there are those other benefits to it. It's personal to me. It has some contextual meaning of, simple and effective and strong and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I love it. So let's go ahead and start with this, right?
Yep.
I'm going to read, as I did in our pre-show, I'm going to read you my favorite part of your website. And but truth be told, I sent it out to all my clients saying, this is a great website, just because of that one sentence. Also because I knew it would be challenging. So here we go. You ready?
Do it.
Unlike many advisors, our ongoing fee is not tied solely to the amount of your investable assets. Andy, would it be fair to say that there are some values behind that statement?
Yes, a confluence of values.
Take it away.
So, super quick background. I graduated college in 2000, went to school for finance, wanted to be what I thought an advisor was. I wanted to help people make personal life financial decisions. I interviewed at a lot of the big places that were on campus looking for young, fresh, eager recruits, and it was the large brokerage and insurance companies. I quickly found out that they were all just looking to recruit salespeople that were mostly or solely commission compensation just to go sell insurance and commission to mutual funds. Got disenfranchised and disgusted by that, and that just felt wrong. It had nothing to do with giving advice. It was just pushing product. So gave up on the idea, stumbled into an actuarial role at a large insurance company, parlayed that into 19 years in various corporate investment, banking, risk management roles. Made good money, saw some cool things, met some great people, but it was never really soul fulfilling. I still had this itch to want to help people, with finances. So trying to speed this up, my mother was transitioning towards retirement. She was working with a traditional percent of assets manager who claimed he was full service, charging 1.5% because he was full service. And he wasn't able to help her get a definitive answer on her Social Security claiming strategy. Now, she's one of the more complicated ones, divorced from my father, of an age where she can still do the restricted application thing. But he wasn't able to, he knew enough to know he didn't know the answer. So I helped her dig in, not knowing much about it, helped her dig in, research Social Security, and got to the answer. And that's when, the proverbial light went off over my head. It's like, wow, this is it. This is what I thought planning and advice should be. Thankfully, helping my own mother. This was 2016. From that point forward, it was just, this is what I want to do. Let me figure out how to actually give advice and get paid for giving advice, not selling product, not just gathering assets, and charging handsomely to overcomplicate mutual fund allocations. So it was a nonstop journey from that point forward to figure out what's the best way to do it. I knew I wanted to do it on my own, on my terms, services I thought made sense, fees I thought made sense. And the rest was kind of history. It was a multi-year plan to intentionally build this business that I wanted, not just from a professional perspective, but from a personal perspective that jived with what I wanted my life to be and look like. And I set the date as 2019 will be when I leave the corporate world. And sure enough, that's what I did. November 1st, 2019 was my last day on Wall Street. I walked out the door and started this and haven't looked back since.
Awesome. I think what I would like people, if they're listening, to hear from that is you can have a lot of different ways to make a decent living in financial services, and some of those will have you feeling good about yourself afterwards as well. And right. yours is one of them. So when we look at that compensation model, one of my thoughts as I look at it, like you got a great website, Tenon Financial, Tenon, Tenon Financial.com. One of the things that I really like about how you're approaching it, and this is from a sales management standpoint, is it's very simple.
Thank you. That was intentionally simple. Yeah.
And I think, I've said this before, but I think that so much of the profit in our industry, because I coach predominantly financial advisors, I was one. I think so much of the profit in our industry and the huge amounts of income is predicated upon consumer ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand the need to try and compete in a marketplace with people that are charging a lot and not delivering. I understand that. At the same time, from a values-based standpoint, I think that some of the anxiety that I see out in the broader industry is predicated upon this awareness that, like, people are starting to figure this out, and what do I do? I just want to commend you on transitioning to where I believe the industry is going to be in 5 years.
I hope the industry will get more towards flat fees or even hourly to some extent. It makes more sense in percent of assets, and definitely a heck of a more logical than commission based. What I realize and appreciate is that people who have established practices or work at big firms, they're not going to be able to simply give up their percent of AUM business. If for nothing else, it's going to be hard. You're going to have some clients that, hey, guess what? I need to charge you more. You're going to have others with equally awkward conversations where you're going to say, hey, I've been charging you 30 grand a year. Well, guess what? I'm going to drop that to 10 grand now. Neither of those conversations are going to go well. I truly think there's a lot of folks out there that agree with these thoughts I have and this approach I have and would like to do it if they could, but they're kind of hamstrung by their legacy business. I didn't have that. I started from true scratch, which was a tremendous benefit to me. And I realized not everyone is going to be able to do what I did, although I do genuinely would like to see the industry get there at some point.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I didn't know that whole story. I think it's it's so much easier now than when I was an advisor to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's just no support.
Yep.
But what's really interesting, and this is the problem, right? I think, and I'm going to throw it out here. You tell me if you agree. So I think one of the values of financial advisors, AKA / planners like yourself, one of the things that's important is you manage your own finances appropriately. And I speculate that the trap that a lot of traditional advisors find themselves in is they're in this accrual mode. Like, their income is rising, and then just like a bad client, so is their cost of living, right?
Yep.
and and a lot of them have CFPs too, which that worries me.
Right. Yeah.
That concerns me. That designation, I'm like, we there's got to be some work done to measure how well you're actually doing it yourself.
Right.
Yeah,
a funny, maybe not so funny, anecdotal story kind of aligns with what you said. So there's another fellow I met on LinkedIn, salesperson at a large insurance company we've all heard of. He manages a team of a few dozen. And one of my comments sparked something. And he first responded back to me kind of angrily about it, because my comments, although I write them professionally, do touch a nerve sometimes. And we got to chatting offline, and tempers cooled a little bit, and we had this good rap back and forth. And he was intrigued in doing fee only, fee for service type advisory stuff, and was asking about my model and what have you. And, I explained my model and did the numbers and told them how many clients I want. You can do the math of the revenue I get and whatever. And that's plenty good enough for me. And he's currently making, personally making over $1 million. And,
I know where he's at. I know where he's at.
We ran through the numbers and you can easily do $400,000, $500,000. Like, oh, no, I can never do that. It's not enough for me. I'm paraphrasing, but those are his words. I need to continue to make at least $1 million. Like, well, that just says it all right there. So,
and it's a values thing.
Yeah. What do you really need $1 million a year for? Now, who knows? Maybe he's got a massive amount of family he needs to support in faraway countries. And I don't know. I didn't get that impression from him. He just seems like, loves to live the lifestyle kind of guy, but I don't know.
Well, Andy, maybe you're not going to be able to have all those bespoke suits and stuff like that, and Rolexes. Are you going to be okay?
Dude, I'm wearing Old Navy shorts and a $5 Under Armour t-shirt I got on clearance somewhere. That's not me. I am not showy.
Yeah, your content's good though. It's professional and it's clean. It's well thought out, right?
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know my stuff. I'm not ashamed to admit I'm technically super strong. I know how to implement it. I know how to educate and explain it. That doesn't mean I need to look the part and wear $1,000 plus suit. I don't need to have a fancy German car. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but that's not me. I get no value. I get no joy from that. Let my knowledge and my meanness shine through, and let that be what people see and hire me for. Not because I have a fancy wood paneled office or because I got a slick suit or a $40,000 watch. That's not the person I want to be.
Yeah, for me, all of those things, like the really expensive car, the expensive suit, and the expensive watch, are just massive amounts of personal risk.
Yeah.
Because anytime I've had any nice piece of clothing, I either rip it or stain it. The only type of car I like is a car that I paid cash for.
Yeah.
Paid cash for it out of my checking account.
There you go. It's yours. You own it.
Yeah. It just has always been insane for me. I don't like people that think that their home is an investment, because it's not, and so maybe that's probably why I was such a sorry ass advisor in the traditional sense. But I have no regret. I literally have no regrets about what I did. So let's get to values. And I think it's really interesting is we have this perception, which is accurate, that the traditional financial advisor is a salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just modify that, having been in outside sales before. The average financial advisor is a bad salesperson.
Sure.
Right? Now, believe it or not, they've had almost no real professional sales training, which is the problem. Professional salespeople make buying fun.
Right.
That's the difference. And Marcus Sheridan is one of my favorite authors. They Ask You Answer. It's one of the best books on marketing ever done, because he's like, listen to what your clients' questions are and then answer them.
It's that easy.
Right. Shit, that's revolutionary.
Imagine that, right?
Right. But it's not as easy when you get down to it. Like, he owns a pool company in Virginia, which is why I paid attention to him. Oh, he's from Virginia. He's got to be great. Mm-hmm. But that the concept being is, I think that you are actually a great salesperson.
I struggle with that. I mean, I'm coming to the term that I do think I am good at sales in what I do and how I do it. In selling in the traditional sense, right? And that's why I'm getting comfortable with saying I might be okay at sales. Actually, I know I suck at sales, and that's why I never took one of those traditional sales jobs at the insurance or brokerage places. I can't sit there and drum up interest and cold call and do these cold chicken dinner seminars and work a room and pat people on the back. That's not me. But I realize there's value. People value education. They value knowledge. They value not having to enter their email address to get some stupid piece of pre-canned marketing that you're putting out. So my approach was, let me be me. I'm confident in me and what I know. And I know I can and will provide great value, great service. The best way for me to get that across without being salesy is just be me. Let me do videos. Let me talk on Facebook, answer questions. Let me just share boatloads of my time and knowledge. In the process, people will say, yeah, this dude seems to know what he's talking about. He does not seem salesy. He seems genuine. He seems honest. And that's what's been happening. I've never once asked for a name or email from anyone. I mean, I do have a newsletter that has an opt-in, but I've never used that as a screen to share any of my content ever. People find me and it's working. So my sales approach of being not salesy has done tremendously well. I don't think everyone could replicate it. And just like I would never be able to replicate a traditional sales approach, but I know what works for me and I'm sticking to it.
Well, and that, so I've coached salespeople for almost 30 years. I've written a book on referrals and stuff like that. And I think one of the values that you're clearly talking about is transparency and authenticity. Clearly, and I have this weird kind of story I tell her, this example about why it's important to be transparent. And so the best salespeople don't hide anything.
Right.
Because they figured out that the name of the game is retention, not acquisition. Because really great salespeople look at everything for a time expenditure, and they don't look just daily. They look on a decade basis. Because they're always looking at how can I build a residual, but we're not talking MLMs here, but how can I build an accruing residual type of relationship so that I spend less and less time to deliver the same value. And so that's what I think is beautiful about what you're doing is you're laying it exactly out there, answering most of the big questions that prospective clients have up front so that they can focus on getting to know you. And then they'll decide to buy you, which means that after they paid for you, they're not going to have any, buyer's remorse. They're going to be like, this is Andy. This is what Andy does. This is great. Yeah.
It's especially in this virtual world post pandemic, we're still in it, I guess. But so of my 30 plus clients currently, my mother is the only one in New Jersey. Literally every other client is scattered throughout the country. And that's all from Facebook and to a lesser extent YouTube. But to your point, they know me. They get comfortable with me. I'm out there. I'm open. There's so much of me, not just my technical knowledge, but how I look, how I sound, what I say, my mannerisms, my truthfulness about what I do and don't know. There's so many different bits of content that are now out there forever circulating for people to see and get comfortable with me. So by the time they choose to reach out to me to set up an intro call, they feel like they know me. The sales process is in effect done. They're asking me some clarification questions. That's really it. And it's worked out well because, again, I don't feel I'm selling at all. I'm just being me, and it's the best sales tool there is for me and how I approach things.
So I'm a referral guy. I've always been a referral guy. And my question for people has been, is there anything more effortless in the sales world than an endorsed referral from a client? And the answer is always no. I said, well, then why don't we focus on that?
Yeah.
What I love about what we're talking about, because I'm with DLA, so we do the world's only 3-month social selling and influence course where there's coaching and training, right? And we take people through a lot of the stuff that you've already done the sweat equity on, right?
Okay.
Trial and error and all that kind of stuff. So you're a bad prospect for that because I wouldn't sell it to you.
Well, thank you. I guess it's a compliment, I guess.
No, it's
Right.
like you're already doing it, right? So like a whole bunch of training right now would actually would increase the amount of friction for you to continue being virtuous, So
Right.
but the thing is, this is like right now, what I'm hearing for you is that a lot of your sales, even though you still got, I understand, man, the residue from bad sales is like, it's like plutonium. The half-life is eons. Even though you've got that residue, right now, sales is, maybe we wouldn't say fun, but maybe it's effortless, your client acquisition process.
I'd agree with that. And it is fun. I'm doing what I enjoy. I enjoy talking and teaching on these technical retirement and tax related matters. That comes second nature to me and comes effortlessly to me. And I'm just out there putting myself to the world, capturing it online. So, it can be recirculated across Facebook, YouTube, whatever. But I don't consider it selling. It's not work. I mean, there's a lot of, buttload of time I put into it, but I don't consider this work.
So awesome. Me either. Like, I freaking love social. And the reason I love social is the more clients that I get understanding how to use social on purpose, strategically, in alignment with their values, the more time I get to spend with them and the more interest I get from other people, And so,
right.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit, just some, I'm not trying to look for any of the secrets, even though you're pretty transparent.
Yeah, I'll tell you what everyone to know. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's already out there. But, I want look him up. It's out there. He tells you how to do it, but you just won't because you think that how you deliver value is having people come to a fancy building and a mahogany office. Like, You don't have to do that. So here's the thing. So have you noticed a transition in how you approach social media, in that maybe initially you might have been not a super fan of it? I don't know. But are you getting more engagement with your clients socially?
So I guess I can answer
that question.
I think I know where you're going, but so when I first started from nothing again, November 2019, I read all the books and listened to the podcast about what advisor marketing is supposed to be. And to be fair, I knew it was like throwing spaghetti on the wall, see what sticks. Different things work for different people. And I knew you had to have a social presence. So I have a LinkedIn page. Still have a Twitter page. I haven't been on in months. I have a Facebook business page. And I would do the typical stuff of write some, basic letter or, whatever article, post it up there. I would get myself quoted in some articles for US News and stuff and share those. And I'll try to write engaging comments and whatever. But nothing really clicked. I was slowly getting 1 or 2 followers and likes and whatever. What really changed the game for me was a Facebook group. Facebook business page is nothing more than a glorified contact us. Like, yes, people can comment. It's exactly it. It's a brochure. A group, on the other hand, truly is a community. It takes a lot of work and effort to grow and cultivate and moderate out the knuckleheads and the political riffraff and spammers and bots.
Which, by the way, that's no different from real life people. I hate that.
That's true, yeah.
Like, social is on and offline. It's this community thing you're talking about, Andy. And like I always say, like, there's no one in your family that's a drunk. No one's ever gotten divorced or had an affair. I mean, you haven't seen anybody get drunk at an office party, even though we don't do those anymore. I'm like,
right.
Like, really, it's real life.
It is. So I started the group and I was posting comments and sharing articles and trying to elicit responses and engagement from folks doing all the stuff you're supposed to do. And slowly it built. It was a handful of people joining a week. And then within a few months, so this was April 2020, I started it. By the summer, I hit my goal was to hit 1,000 people by the end of the year. I hit 1,000 some point in July of 2020, so 3 months in. And from that point, it just latched on and took off. The organic growth, people liked the group, recognized the value, would share it, would recommend it to others, and it's just exploded. Now I'm getting 200 to 300 people a week joining. But it's that engagement. It was the unfiltered, unabated access to me. People can post questions. I give detailed, thoughtful responses. I don't give any advice, right? These are all just random strangers. So I should caveat that. There's no specific advice. It's just helpful hints and education. But boatloads of knowledge that people couldn't get from their own advisors because their advisors didn't know, or, they couldn't find online without having to get screened through some dumb, give me your email, so I'll send you this white paper. And I was like, forget that. I just come and ask me. I got nothing to hide. I'm happy to share because I enjoy educating. And what happened was it ended up being the best marketing tool ever for getting me out there, getting people to know me, building community, building a sense of trust and, reputation amongst the followers, and the thing's just snowballing. And that's what worked for me socially. But the traditional Facebook business page, LinkedIn page, Twitter page, I got really no traction out of those things.
Most people don't. It's interesting. You and a couple other people, and then also being involved with DLA, there's so much that we know that does work, but it's more about how you behave and what activity you have, not necessarily content you share. Content's important. Content verifies, I think, more than introduces. Mm-hmm. But I'm getting ready to launch a weekly live session
on Facebook.
I think I'm going to do it on Facebook. I was doing it on LinkedIn, but I think Facebook's better personally.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a Facebook Live, and it's called "Ask Me Anything About Growing Your Small Business."
Perfect.
And because that's literally what I do, And the cool news is like if I get stumped on a question, because I've been doing business, I've got thousands of people I can refer to. So I'm kind of hoping that this ends up being something that obviously helps my business, but I like doing things that potentially can amplify and bless other people that are smarter than me, because there's a lot of them.
and it'll be paid back multiple times over. If your goal is just to get clients, I don't know that that's the right way to go about it.
But it doesn't work.
Right. In giving genuine education and knowledge, sure, 90+% of the people in the group, probably more than that, 98, 99%, will never reach out to you to engage you in a paid relationship. But if you get enough, depending what your business is, like me, I want 50 clients and I'm done. I know I'll get there. I'll probably get there next year. So I'm not desperate for business or growth. I'm still doing this because I genuinely enjoy doing it. And yes, law of large numbers, of a 16,000 person group, if only 50 of them reach out to me to become clients, that's plenty. That works for me. The rest of it is just great. Everyone got some free education from me. Good for them. I'm happy. I feel like I'm making a difference in the world because of it. So everybody wins.
It's huge. I mean, that's why the values-based mindset experience community is going to be free.
Great. Right? That's perfect. I love it.
I mean, honestly, as a Christian, I don't believe that there's anything original in our system. We've just organized it, and we're passionate about how we communicate and coach around it,
Yeah.
But I can look in lots of books in the Bible, and I could say, okay, Mike, you didn't think of that first.
Yeah.
Like Jesus didn't copyright everything,
Right.
So from my perspective, it's been really encouraging. So I want to you got 5 more minutes?
Yeah, of course.
Let's take a little bit more time, because I would have you on for 5 episodes, and I will bring you back. But I want to so one thing you said, I think it's important from a value-based standpoint. You obviously care about your clients. You care very much about education. You've established your ideal business at 50 clients. How are your values having you think about what happens after that? Because you're going to continue to attract clients, Andy. I'm telling you, you have an obligation because of what you're doing to those people that can't become clients.
So I have a few thoughts. I do truly want to stay a solo. So I am capped in capacity. I know I'll hit my 50. Then what happens when additional people reach out? So
who are getting screwed?
I am, or they am.
No, they are.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You're paying $30,000 to some round of the mill, 1% advisor down the road. It's like you're getting robbed, but whatever. Whatever. It's disgusting. Quarterly
rebalancing is very complicated.
It really is. I have to push 2 buttons instead of 1 to do it.
That's right.
It's insane. I am looking for folks that function kind of like I do, that think like I do, have the values I do. If and when I can find an advisor. So here's what's unique about me. Retirement only focus. I won't work with anyone who's under, shy of 2 years of retirement, let's say. So I'm 43. I have no interest in working with people in my stage of life. All my clients are late 50s or older. So retirement, decumulation focus, very strong tax focus. Vast majority of advisors don't or explicitly can't discuss taxes and tax planning, which is a ginormous disservice.
The second one's more accurate.
So taxes, retirement, and flat fee is very important to me. I have not yet found anyone who covers those three things to the same extent I do. If and when I do, I'm trying to tabulate a list of folks that I can refer people to. I've met one guy recently, Mike Powers, CPA, started up his own firm.
He's from Richmond.
He's nearby.
I want to connect with him, and I'll be in Richmond in a couple of weeks. I'm going to see if I can hook up with him.
Reach out. So I took it upon myself. I found out, he reached out to me just to say hi, whatever. I found out he was transitioning to flat fees, including AUM, including management of assets. I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is one of the guys. So I voluntarily, he didn't ask me to, he's not paying me to. I, told everyone in my Facebook group about him. I blasted him on LinkedIn in a good way. I was like, if anyone's looking for advisors, this is the guy.
Yeah. I engaged on that piece of content because I was so excited.
Yeah. And he will presumably get some clients that I otherwise could have had, but I'm okay with that. There's an abundance of clients out there. It doesn't need to be like the brokers where you fight and stab someone's eyes out for the next sale. There's plenty out there. We will all fill up on clients. I know I will. I know Mike will. Let's share the wealth. Let's support each other, prop each other up, whatever. So that's my plan, to find Mike and people like him. When I do hit my 50, I want people that I can in good faith refer prospects to, knowing that they'll get treated and served at least loosely similar to how they would have been treated and served by me. So, and my other plan down the road is succession planning for my own business. And to be honest, I haven't quite thought that through thoroughly enough. So I'm 43, like I said. I plan on doing this until my body or mind don't permit. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, decade or two down the road. My assumption, my plan is to try to find someone who, again, looks, acts, thinks, operates like me, that I can refer people to that, hey, if I get hit by a bus or need to retire tomorrow, this is the person I'd recommend you go to. But if not, you're free to choose whatever. I don't want an in-house person per se. Maybe I'll change my mind at some point, but as of now, it's not my goal.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I have spent some time on, succession planning. And I think I have one word for you: apprentice.
Oh, man.
When you think about the way that you do business currently, and maybe hopefully over the next 5 years, things will be better. I mean, they're certainly better than they were 10 years ago. They're so much better.
Yeah.
But they still suck really bad. I think the apprentice is the way you do it, because what you do is really a trade. It's a craft, right? And it's not something that you pass exams on and implement. You need to watch a master at work, just like we learned how to do blacksmithing. And so whenever you get to those moments, think about it from an apprenticeship kind of standpoint. And it's hard to convert somebody.
Yeah. I realize that may need to be the answer. Again, intentional values, whatever. I set out this business to have complete control and autonomy, to do it by myself, to not have to oversee people, not just because I don't want to be a manager. I mean, I've been a manager in prior jobs and I don't quite enjoy it, but not just I don't want to manage people, but also the compliance and concerns around a business like we're in.
Yes.
High risk. I don't want to have to manage someone who does or says something stupid. And that ends up causing me personally and professionally troubles and lawsuits and what have you. So that's my concern. And maybe I'm overthinking. I know lots of small shops have apprentices or, junior employees, but that's my hesitation against doing that route.
Well, the thing is, none of those shops have your business model. So the apprenticeship program, ironically, works well with the AUM model because you've got a lot of surplus income.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. And so ironically, apprenticing works really well in a traditional model. The challenge that I would see with your model would be, compensation pay. How do you do that? And how do you deviate from something that is so, like your model is so, like it could appear to somebody, Andy, that your model's selfish, and it's really not. It's like, how do you completely serve 50 households with exceptional service? And so I see the risk management philosophy and how you've evaluated different ways of running your business, and said, with how I run, this gives me the least amount of risk to these 50 households.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a limiting of your income on purpose as a result. It doesn't mean you're not going to be okay. Right. You live in New Jersey. So like, that's like, if you live, I don't know, it would be like, we go out to eat every day. I've been to New Jersey. I'm not sure. But one of my best buddies owns a place at Ocean Grove,
Okay. Yeah. I'm there a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. The Methodists, they know how to do town planning. I mean, I'll give them that.
No driveways. That's the problem. But outside of that,
the whole awesome. Tent city thing is wacky too. But that's all, that's good. But I would just say that the big challenge you have is you've got such an exquisitely designed client experience. And a lot of advisors have been told that since you can't scale your income within that experience, that's bad. And I would argue it's not. So personally, I would think that you would write a book. Hint, hint, write a book.
Oh man.
But there's lots of ways that you can do this. But I think for now, I wouldn't advise even worrying about it. Like keep doing your program, keep doing your thing, optimize it. But because you share, because you are active socially, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people that are inspired by this, and maybe somebody listening to this podcast, where they can kind of find their own way. And I know, having experienced you, I know that you are approachable. I know that you're a giver. I know that's one of your values, because like, if you look at his website, it's clear. If you follow any of your stuff, especially on Facebook, by the way, when are advisors going to figure out how good Facebook is for advisors?
I don't know. To be fair, part of it is where your demographic is. So my target client, 50 plus, they're on Facebook. If I was targeting Gen Z, then definitely not, right? It's Instagram, it's TikTok, although I don't think that's allowed yet. And in places like that. But yeah, so it really depends. Go where your client is. And I guess that's sort of sales 101, right? Or marketing 101.
Yeah, it's ironic. Like my strategy with my advisors on Facebook has nothing to do with financial products or services or advice. Nothing to do with it. So it's all personal.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah. It works though, right?
Well, I hate compliance. Like I told you.
Yeah.
When I got my 24, I knew I was done.
That's it. Yeah. I don't want to be the supervisor of these folks, right?
Well, but it was all cool selling a sausage, right? And then I went back to the factory and saw the sausage was made. And I was like, oh my God.
I don't think I like this.
What have I been doing?
Right. No, seriously.
The problem with that, right, and we'll end on this, is unfortunately some clients still like buying sausage.
I don't know if they like it or if they're just sold really well about the value proposition of said sausage. That's what concerns me.
Yeah, it's like I guess people buy Diet Coke. I mean, it's an abomination. Yeah. Anyways, so I always end with this, right? I always end with, what did Mike forget to ask you about, or what did you want to say that I cut you off? Like, Andy, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes and you just close it out.
Oh, dude, I'm not good at that. I don't know. It's sort of one of my fundamental principles in my business is the importance of tax and tax planning. So I know this podcast is kind of about values and get yourself out there and doing it in a value compliant way. But for the general financial advisor universe, do more with taxes. Learn more about taxes, get more involved in tax planning. Tax planning doesn't mean having to do with someone's tax return, but you better be looking at the tax return for every one of your clients, because it tells a tremendous amount of information by looking at it. And if you're not looking at it, tremendous disservice. So that's my words of wisdom. Not very exciting, sorry, but
it's usually exciting in a bad way. I coach and I've been in the industry for a long, long time, and I've got a freaking incredible CPA who unfortunately has to at least once a month deal with clients that have been absolutely wrecked financially by a financial advisor that did not understand tax planning.
Yeah.
Like, and I hate to say it, like you ready? If you're in crypto, like if somebody is actually making money from crypto, don't go to a traditional financial advisor. You need to go to somebody like Andy or my friend Adam Schur, who's actually an EA, who really understands this, because you don't have an accumulation problem.
Yeah.
You have a tax problem.
Exactly.
You have a relatively unique tax problem that's not very defined right now. And so I would just throw that out there is, Andy's only got a couple of slots left. And if you're actually making money at crypto, you might need to beg him.
Though if you are, you're probably under 50 and not really interested in working with you.
Maybe they're ready to retire.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had people like the FIRE movement reach out, early 40s, want to retire. And yes, they're within a year or two of retirement, but I'm not quite comfortable with FIRE, at least my skill set and knowledge of FIRE.
Sure.
I don't know how to plan decumulation for potentially 60 years. I don't know. I don't know the unknowns that I don't know in that scenario. They typically still have often young children, so they're still college planning. There's still like significant amount of insurable needs, whereas my clients, late 50s, early 60s, often not a lot of need for insurance at this point. So I don't know, things like that. But
yeah, but that transparency probably makes you more attractive. This is the double-edged sword.
Probably. I should just be more things to all people. Whatever.
No.
I don't know. No. I was saying that facetiously, but yeah, honesty is good. And again, this is me. I'm not doing it to sell, but I realize me being honest and so golly gee, does help my standing in people's minds, I think. And that's a good problem to have.
I think it's amazing. So once again, Andy, it's been an absolute honor to have you on the podcast, to interact with you. You are everything I thought you would be, which is one of the highest compliments I can give somebody. Like
thank you.
Who you are on social is who you are live. And I look forward to checking in with you. Next time I'm heading up to Ocean Grove, maybe we can go have a drink or something.
Yeah.
I can introduce you to my crazy friends from Jersey.
Cool.
And we can have some fun. But once again, thank you so much. Where can they find you again, Andy?
Best place would be my business website, tenonfinancial.com. That's TENON financial.com. And for those of you on Facebook, search up the group Taxes in Retirement. That's the one I moderate.
That is a good